Good morning. It's time for students, parents, and drivers to get back into the school routine. School is back in session for Spokane Public Schools, and the school district and city would like to remind everyone to work together for safety. I would like to thank those standing behind me, Mayor David Condon, Spokane Police Chief Craig Meidl, and Spokane Fire Chief Brian Schaeffer for working with Spokane Public Schools to make sure that we have a very safe school year. There will be 30,000 students walking, riding buses, and many of our high school students driving to school, and we want to make sure that they're safe. And they're very nervous and excited, so they're not always paying attention. So we appreciate the assistance of the city and community to keep all of our students safe.
So we're asking everybody, our students, our parents, our drivers, our community members, to keep an eye out for each other and help make the start of the school year safer and healthier as we talk about being the city of choice and be a smarter, safer, and healthier community. It really is about partnering with our school district. Spokane Public Schools is who we are as a community, and we want to make sure that this school year starts off safe. So there'll be extra school traffic. So allow a little more time as we go to work, extra caution as we have new or younger drivers on the road, and slow down in neighborhoods and around our schools, like here at Garfield and so many of our grade school, our primary schools, and our junior highs. Make sure you take that extra time. Make sure as you leave your house to work that you pay attention, that there's going to be more traffic. Many students walk or get off buses and walk from stops, so you might make sure you watch for them stepping out from behind trees or parked cars. Some students cross major arterials. Watch for crossing guards and flashing crossing lights that are indicating that kids are in the area. And make sure you follow the rules tomorrow and spend a little extra time as we continue to make Spokane safer, smarter, and healthier.
Good morning. So it's that time of year again, 30,000 students returning to school. And the 30,000 students are going to be returning to school in a very time-compressed manner. So you'll have about an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon where you're going to now have 30,000 students going back to school. So what we're asking is that the community be aware that your commutes are going to take longer, anticipate they're going to take longer. We also need to remind the community as well that fines are enhanced in school zones. So when you see those school zone signs, it's going to be important that you follow those as well, because you will get cited for speeding in the school zones, and that's obviously to keep our kiddos safe. We also want to remind the community the buses are going to be making frequent stops. So if you see the lights flashing on the buses, please do not pass the buses. You may see some of those kiddos run out in front of the buses thinking that it's safe to go. And then we always want to remind the parents, and please remind your children as well, if you see suspicious activity, please report it right away. A couple other things for your kids that may be going back to school. Please ask when they're waiting at the bus stops, have them step back away from the curb. We don't want to see kids right along the curb. We all know that with the way distracted driving occurs, it only takes a quick second for someone to look down at their phone or adjust their radio or any number of things. And we want to make sure those kids are stepping back away from the curb. It's also a good time to remind your kids, never go with anyone they don't know. And it's a good reminder to remind them every single day that they need to make sure that they don't go with someone that they don't know. And then remind your children as well, keep your head on a swivel. And then lastly, if you happen to be a neighbor who has a bus stop for students out in front of your house, be a good neighbor, keep an eye on those kiddos out there and make sure they're staying safe and getting to and from school as well.
And since it is the start of a new school year, it's a good time to review your home fire safety plan. So we're encouraging parents take the opportunity, spend some time with the kids, review, make sure they understand 2 ways out. Know that we extremely recommend them to close their door at night. The Close Before You Doze campaign. It is a truly life-saving effort that parents could support. Students are going to be spending a lot of time alone after school, so make sure they know who to contact in case of an emergency. Make sure they practice those home fire safety plans and that they know who to call. 911 is always an option, and oftentimes there's some hesitation to use it. We absolutely recommend using it in the right period and want to reinforce that with parents. Lastly, please remind students that with the upcoming change in time, it's going to be getting darker quicker. So going to the school bus stop in the morning, like the police chief mentioned, it would be good to outfit your children with some lighter colored clothes, some type of reflectivity, so that traffic does recognize them when they're waiting at the bus stop. That's you.
Well, thank you very much. As you can see, a simple message to remind us is we have some 30,000 students going back, that we remain vigilant and drive safely. It's also an opportunity to remind your kids, like Chief Schaeffer talked about fire safety, especially if they are coming home after school and at home, that we make sure that they realize about safety, home fire safety, and emergency safety, and also realize that you're going to see a lot of police and fire out engaging with our kids over the next few days as we start the school year. A great opportunity for you to get to know our police officers, our neighborhood resource officers, our precinct commanders and lieutenants and sergeants, and then also your local fire station. So a great opportunity to do that, to engage with them. And I want to thank the school district, as we have a seamless working relationship to make sure that we have the safest schools. And so with that, we're more than happy to take some questions.
Can you guys run over kind of the fines in the school zone areas and maybe how much money you guys took in from last year?
You know, they're graduated, but we'll have Sergeant Priniger get that to you.
So we do have the enhanced fines in the school areas. Of course, the city has made substantial investments through safe routes to schools and making sure that we continue to focus on walkability to our schools. And we'll make sure that we'll provide the information, and also to those watching on Facebook, where those emphasis patrols are. I believe a press release went out yesterday or the day before on that subject also.
And then with the school bond, I know security improvements were included in that. So will families be seeing those changes go into effect this year? Can you maybe
Sure.
give an update there?
Some of them, we are still going to be presenting in phases our areas of the report, the safety report. A big one that right away we went to install, there were some key points where we needed additional cameras. And so that was a piece where, for just security reasons, maybe some blind spots that we had. So some additional cameras were installed, and also we're continuing to do ongoing training for single point of entry. We continue to find that as being one of our number one ways to keep our schools safe, is to have the single point of entry and making sure that that's enforced in terms of not opening doors to strangers and others.
Shelley, one question about kids who walk to school. What advice can you give parents to tell their kids how to keep safe?
Sure. One thing that our community has done a great job of is having the walking school bus. So we really encourage families to partner with other families to make sure their children are not walking alone. And so usually having a friend, or even better is the walking school bus, where a whole group of families coordinate and walk together. And never get into a car with strangers. That's very, very important.
And the school traffic cameras, how effective were those? Do you plan on adding more?
Yeah, the cameras have had an impact on the speeding in the school zones. In terms of adding more, that's something that we'll have to continue to look at and see the results. They're still fairly new, and they are obviously scattered throughout the city as well. Thankfully, they're well posted. They give plenty of notice that you're about to enter a school zone, and it is enforced through the photo radar. So we'll continue to monitor those to see how effective they are as well, and then it'll be a group decision as to whether it makes sense to expand that program further or not.
Chief, a question about drivers in relation to school buses, and what are some of the mistakes that drivers commonly make that obviously are illegal and dangerous?
Yeah, so some of the common mistakes that we see is obviously following too close. That's one of the common issues that we will see, is that people will be right on the tail of a bus. We want to make sure that you leave plenty of room between you and the bus that's in front of you, because they do make frequent stops as well. We will also see that some folks get in a hurry, so they'll try to pass the bus, and they'll try to pass the bus in an area that's not designed for passing. And that creates issues for not only oncoming traffic, but for students that may be trying to cross the road in front of the bus that the driver just can't see as they're trying to pass illegally. And then we'll also see some folks will pass the bus when the lights are flashing as well. And obviously that leads to similar issues. Students will assume once they get off the bus they can go in front of the bus, and when folks try to pass with those lights flashing, bad things can happen as well. So those are the real issues that we're seeing when they're getting behind the buses. And that's why it's just a good idea this time of year, because you do have such a large amount of students going to school in the morning in about an hour period, and then again in the afternoon, and just anticipate that your commute in that morning and that afternoon is going to take a little bit longer. Give yourself more time to get to wherever you're going.
Also, we're having some early dismissals on Fridays, and it looks like there'll be, I would think there would be school traffic rules in place that entire time. Wouldn't there be an overlap enough that it would stretch all the way?
Yes, absolutely. So the school zones are designed specifically to be applicable. Some of them are 24/7. Not 24/7. Some of the school zones are throughout the entire day. Some of the schools have an open campus, or the students are coming and going just because of their schedule. As far as the rest of the city, when children are present, the law is applicable. So it's expected that the community is going to follow the school safety signs when they see those students are coming and going from class.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. As remember, tomorrow starts school for Spokane Public Schools, and many of our other private schools start also tomorrow. So not only the 30,000 students that go down to Spokane Public Schools, but many of our other schools even started today. So remember, between now and the weekend and early into next week, a little change of pace as our kids go back to schools, and also a great opportunity to remember to check those safety plans with your kids as they're home now, before and after school. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.